Alright guys, taking a look at our movement and choices with our recent dubs match with Rhodes College. This turned out to be a good team that we beat. Lefty comes up to serve, Rayner hits a nice return. I like going at the net guy early in matches because it sets the tone and kind of lets them know that you can't be trusted with what you're going to be returning. A lot of these guys just like to start crossing right away and sort of bully their way into the match, and this way you kind of let them know that they're not going to get away with that. And that's clearly evident in the way the guy crosses here on the next point. Now remember, if you want to pick on the net guy, no matter when it is in the match, there's several ways to do it. So you can try to pass him down the line in doubles alley, but you better have an easy shot. You can go right at him. You can go a little bit at him and more middle, or you can lob him. So you got options when it comes to picking on the net guy. So Rayner taking this next return right at the net guy was super disruptive for their game. It affected the way that they played the whole rest of the match. The guys were both a little more hesitant. These next 2 points where you guys break them, you could say you got lucky, but you could also say good things happen when you make solid returns. Okay, starting off this next game here with this first point, we got multiple errors happening that are easily correctable. So Ashton, as the net player, as the return, you see the ball go cross-court by you. You've got to move with it back towards the service line tee. That way you could protect the middle. And as you follow that ball back towards the tee, you should have your eyes on the net player. That way you're ready in case, your partner hits to him. But instead, in this case, you turn your head, you watch your partner deal with the return, you stay up at the net, and now the middle's wide open, and you try to make up for it at the last second, which almost worked. The other thing is, look at the returner. I don't know what he's doing. I don't think he has any idea what he's doing either. He's just watching his return, hoping it doesn't come back, and he's sort of sauntering into no man's land like nothing's going to happen afterwards. And a big part of what we talked about as a team with the anticipation skills segment was knowing where your opponents are. And the more you know where they are, the more you can recognize positioning errors in doubles. So in this case, Rayner, if you can get that ball cross court pretty much anywhere, you guys are going to be in great shape to win the point, because the return is just like in no man's land. He's totally out of position. So if you get it deep, now he's left with a half volley. If you hit it somewhere near the service line, now he's left with an awkward on the rise half volley, or do I come in, do I go back? And he's totally out of position. Couple good serves from Rayner, nice volley from Ash. And let's take a look at this third point. Ashton, we got another net positioning here. It's the same one as before that we talked about. So when the lefty blocks this return back, and Rayner's going back to set up for this forehand, Ash, you've got to be back at least 3 feet from where you are at the net. But instead, in this case, you stay up tight to the net, and now you leave the middle wide open, and that's when things get a little difficult at this point. And let these next 2 points be a reminder. Almost anything can be solved with some big serving. So this next game, you guys break them, and in large part because of the way you returned. You made 5 out of 6 returns. 1 or 2 of them, you put them on defense, and the rest of them, you just being solid. And this is how you break serve. You got to play all the points. You did a good job with that this game. So this next game is a perfect illustration of how there's always going to be a significant correlation between high first serve percentage and holding serve. Okay, so this last point here, Ash, I get that you're going behind the guy and you saw an opening. Not the time. Why? Because you're on defense, and it would have been much easier for you to hurt that team by just dipping it low to the guy down the line, because he was way behind the service line when you made contact, so it wouldn't have been hard. On the other hand, the guy on the deuce side is so close to the net, you might be able to lob him. Okay, so after a slap return into the tarp and a beautiful backhand volley winner down the line, gaining some real momentum here at this point. Okay, Ashton, at this point with your return, you've only gone cross court, and the guy's been crossing on you a little bit. You've had obviously a lot of success, but at this stage, you've got to start picking on the net player with lobs or with going out down the line, just so you can keep them honest. Or you got to bring Rayner back to the baseline with you and just play two back for a little bit to take pressure off of you. And on this next return point, it looks like you were thinking the same thing. Good lob. Okay, because Rayner, your preparation is not that great on this ball. You're super rushed, so you're kind of shuffling to it, and that's why you end up turning at the last second and you're rushed. So driving it down the line shouldn't be an option for you. You should just dip it down at the guy's feet, or maybe hit a short angle if you're able to pull off something a little bit wider to set up Ash. But I'm not telling you no about the down the line choice. I'm just saying until you prepare better, where you turn after the split and maybe you have a crossover step so you can run over there and get there quicker, more efficiently. Until then, you can't rifle this ball down the line. And in case you're wondering what that might look like, here's a perfect illustration of great preparation on this kind of forehand. This volley, if you get it wider, would have been really sick, but it's not open, and you got two openings available right there, so keep it simple. Hit a short angle the opposite way, or go right down the middle if you think that's easier to do. But look, anytime you or your partner does a good job pulling somebody into the middle of the court, that means their half of the court is pretty wide open. So Rayner does a good job with the pass, getting the guy down the middle. And so if I were you, I'd just take it wide to the other side with a short angle to the deuce court. Couple of good serves erasing the deficit in this game, Rayner, but this last forehand, you already missed a couple that game. You missed a couple one game. It's probably time to take a little off, add some margin, especially on these game points. And this next point here is exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, you're still going for your shots, but there's clear margin there, and there's a little bit of shape, but that ball's still heavy and putting a lot of pressure on people. Okay, so Ash, I'm not quite sure what you're doing here. So, returning and volleying, but going at the net guy. I think that's not what you planned, but that's what happened. So, anytime you're thinking about returning and volleying, you have to be thinking about returning and volleying, not I'm going to do it no matter what. So you want to walk up to the line, approaching the whole thing with, okay, I'm going to come in behind this return if I can. But if not, then I'm going to stay back and do my regular thing. So if you're going to do it no matter what, this is the kind of situation you put yourself into, maybe, where you have to pull off a miraculous, unbelievable continental forehand stretch, whatever, stick save to stay in the point and come up with something unbelievable. So make sure you walk up to the line thinking, well, I'll do this if I can. So we're going to watch this point again, and you're going to see that we're getting into some issues with I formation, serving and volleying, and staggered formation, reverse staggered formation, and positioning errors. So let's take a look at that. So while there are many benefits of the I formation, this point illustrates one of the many issues that I have with using it. So it's hard to say if this kid recognizes that there's a positioning error, but what he does know is that he just blew it on the return because he knows that the lob was wide open. Now the reason for that is the basics of staggered formation versus the reverse staggered formation positioning error. So what causes that is when you guys do I, and then the server serves and volleys. Now you're in the reverse staggered formation when the net player moves this way that Rayner does on this point. So you're going to get beat on this a couple points later, and you're going to get beat on this against better teams if you don't fix it. And the solution is pretty simple and straightforward. So if the returner has to hit a second shot, then Rayner, you've got to move back, and Ash, you've got to move up. And essentially that just means that you guys have to get into a traditional staggered formation before the returner hits his second shot. So to hammer this point home, here's an example that Vincent and Nesh went through very recently, pretty much about almost the same thing. All right, so let's watch this point again. So the big guy puts himself out of position again here, and you got to recognize that. So there's the staggered formation, which is what should happen when anytime somebody from the baseline comes up to the net to join their partner at the net. The staggered formation looks like this. And then there's the reverse staggered, which is a wild mistake, where, you know, the baseliner comes in way closer to the net than the guy already at the net. And now you got loads of real estate to lob over the dude's head cross court. You know, anytime somebody comes in on you like this and they're closer than their partner at the net, just lob them, it's wide open. So hopefully after watching that point and this illustration, you can clearly see that you're doing that to yourself. Ashton, a couple of good serves and a well-placed approach shot to close this set out. Guys did a good job competing in this set, and hopefully this video and this review will help set the tone for the future and the rest of the season and help us get a little bit better 1 week at a time.